Magnani of Italy, such an experienced marathon runner. Adrian Leek, I think it is, alongside him. And so the race now is beginning to develop quite dramatically. There's the Church of St. George in the east, which is just before the halfway point. They've passed the other side of it now. And there's certainly, the gap is closing with every stride.
What's interesting is that Magnani must be inside his personal best. He's a very experienced athlete. The man there, number 9 on the left. He's 33, former physical education teacher, and he was 13th in the 76 Olympics, 6th in the European Championships at Prague, 8th in Moscow, and a winner of a European Cup in which he beat Sierpinski, the Olympic champion, and John Graham, who's in this race. Now, his best time is 2 hours 11:28. And here he is closing the gap on the Tanzanians, and he may well have paced himself that much better. He may well be running a more intelligent race along with Adrian Leek, and suddenly there is a real international race on.
And Adrian Leek is the surprise party here. Member of Cardiff Athletic Club, he's 26, he's based in America, where so many of our long-distance athletes now train and live. But he's way over his head in terms of time. His best time previously, just inside 2 hours 16, run 2 years ago. And here he is at the moment on course for something inside 2 hours 10 minutes. And the group behind, by no means out of it now. We've got a lot of athletes closing, and the encouragement for them is growing all the time. Because they've seen Leek, they've seen Magnani close the gap. They know the Africans are suffering, and the encouragement there now for them to just speed up and get on the back of the leading four.
Tanzania's accelerating away again. Another interesting point about Magnani is that he was the man beaten by Charlie Spedding, Brent, in Charlie's debut marathon. So if he's in the pack just behind them, there's still a chance for more British faces to appear.
That's right, and there are more British faces, and they're not too far down the road. But typically African, they've seen a group catch them, so they've decided, hey, they're catching us, we're going to go quick, and that's exactly what they've done. So they've taken off again, they've increased the pace, they're running at an abnormal pace, they're changing the speed, and that doesn't help you in a marathon. The Italian and the Englishman have decided that they're not going to bother with this acceleration, and hopefully they'll catch them again.
And in fact, the leading girl, Christiansen of Norway, went through halfway on world record pace. She was through halfway in 1 hour, 10 minutes, 53 seconds, but she's not very far in front of these two Africans now. And certainly the response is there. 24 kilometers marked there, and Bari and Ikango taking liquid on board. So too is Adrian Leek. Magnani accepts it from the other side, but there's a lot of hope there for the chasing group, and we'll have more details of those in just a moment. And that, the leading lady on her way through the redeveloped area of the Isle of Dogs. That's the timing float for her, and Christensen a long and lonely road, but certainly on course for a new world best.
Spanking brand new road she's running on, that new paved surface, the new buildings, the high-tech buildings that are flourishing there. London's new parkland, 550 acres. The London Docks Development Board really emerging against from the dereliction of the past. Brand new roads, a brand new lung for London.
And of course it makes a significant difference, because the roads in this area were not too good in previous years when the London Marathon has wound its way around the Isle of Dogs. But this is a far better running surface indeed, and of course should affect the time. We've got news now of that group just behind Leek and Magnani. Leek in third place, getting away from the Italian and beginning to close again on the two Africans, who are running most uneconomically, as Brendan Foster said. Their response to any sort of challenge is to just kick and go away, but it's not the way to run a marathon, although, having said that, they may still be good enough to last out the pace and win. But in the group behind Leek and Magnani is Dahl of Norway, a familiar figure in the London Marathon, John Graham of Birchfield, Kevin Foster from the northeast, and Charlie Spedding, his clubmate from Gateshead, and they're all in that group behind Magnani. And that is, well, by no means out of striking distance. They've gone through 15 miles, 11 miles to go, 1 hour, 14 minutes and 9 seconds. The pace has slowed a little bit, and it's about on course at the moment for 2 hours and 10 minutes. The course record set over a slightly different course by Hugh Jones in 1982. Hugh Jones's time, 2 hours, 9 minutes, 24 seconds. What will be worrying Cliff Temple, Mike Grattan's coach, is that Mike Grattan, last year's winner, who was this year's favourite, doesn't appear to be with the leaders at all. Just a brief glimpse there of Chris Brasher, the race director. Chris Brasher, the Olympic steeplechase gold medalist in 1956, now an athletics correspondent. And he and John Disley, a steeplechase international colleague, the brains behind this.
I think they alternate whether they're going to run in it. One does the organising, one does the running. I mean, they both organise it. John Disley was telling me that he's been cycling these roads up till 3 o'clock in the morning to get it absolutely accurate, so that there'll be absolutely no doubt that they've got to run 26.2 miles. In fact, if they cut all the corners, they still run the absolute distance of the marathon, the classic distance that we originated in 1908.
One of the club athletes now crossing Tower Bridge. About 12 miles.
I think he's been recognised. Hello, Wello.
And meanwhile, some 6 miles behind, the last lady, the Italian lady we were looking at earlier at Woolwich, goes through. In fact, she's got a companion there as well now. They're at 6 miles, an astonishing distance already behind the leaders.
Lollipop. Andy Smith just gone through. Thames Hare and Hounds, and now there's an old club, the first club in Great Britain from which the Amateur Athletic Association was founded. The Thames Hare and Hounds, 1963. Andy Smith from Chessington.
Actually, this a group that will probably run around between 3 hours 15 minutes and 3 hours 30 minutes. The peak period for finishers is something like 3 hours 40 minutes. And indeed, at that stage, they're going through the finishing line at about 800 a minute.
And they're still coming past Cutty Sark. W649, Janet Walmsley. She's 37, from London, unemployed and having the day of her life.
Group Joan Brown from Portsmouth joggers, and also she's accompanied by Wendy Bing of Portsmouth joggers, and I suspect actually that's a small group all from the same club. Now this is still approaching Cutty Sark. I wonder how he's thinking about the 20 miles he's still got to go.
He may be one of those with the question mark, David.
Actually, the news from the head of the race is getting more and more interesting. The Africans are being chased very, very hard by a significant group now. That group includes Charlie Spedding and Kevin Foster of Gateshead. So we've got a completely new challenge by athletes who've possibly placed themselves better. Adrian Leake is paying for his challenge, the Cardiff boy. He's dropped back considerably now, but we've got a new threat to the Tanzanians. There, I think the three there are Charlie Spedding, only one marathon and a winning run, and Kevin Foster from the Gateshead Club, Cross Country International as well, and Dahl of Norway. Magnani has dropped off that back, and so too has Adrian Leake. So the Africans facing a new problem. Well, now from the quickest, we can drop back to the slowest. 194 seems to me to be a familiar figure, actually. That's Karen Wood.
I know 194, David. That's Klaus Bardik. He's 79. He spends his life and the whole of his earnings, or his pension now, on travelling around